Captain Aaron sat alone in his small space shuttle, drifting near the edge of a forgotten galaxy. His mission was simple: explore new systems and look for signs of life. But space was silent, and silence could be dangerous. He had been traveling for days when his radar suddenly caught something unusual. A faint signal, weak but steady, repeating every few seconds. It wasn't a natural sound. It was too precise, too human. Aaron leaned closer to the screen, his eyes narrowing. "This can't be right," he whispered to himself. The signal carried a short message. Only one word: help. He checked the coordinates. It came from a nearby planet marked as uninhabited. Curiosity and duty pulled him toward it. He set a course and the engines roared softly, guiding him down through the thick green clouds. The planet's surface shimmered like glass under two suns. Tall silver trees grew in twisting patterns, glowing faintly under the strange light. The air was heavy but breathable. Aaron's boots sank into soft blue soil as he stepped out, scanning the area. The signal's origin seemed to be coming from a forest valley nearby. Every step echoed like a whisper in the wind. He noticed something odd. The ground was littered with small stone carvings. Each one looked handmade, shaped by intelligent hands. But one stone stopped him cold. Carved into its smooth surface were letters in English. His own name, Aaron. He stared at it for a long moment, his mind refusing to believe what his eyes saw. No one knew his name here, no one could. He picked it up. And as he did, a soft hum filled the air. Somewhere in the distance, a voice called out. Faint, soft and hauntingly familiar. Aaron. The sound froze him where he stood. He hadn't heard that voice in decades. It sounded like Lila, his childhood neighbor, the girl who vanished when they were 10. His heart started to race. "No way," he whispered. He turned on his helmet scanner. Trying to trace the voice, the radar flickered. Showing a figure moving among the trees, Aaron followed, cautious but drawn by something deeper than logic. The air grew colder, the forest darker. Glowing spores floated like snowflakes in the night. The path ahead twisted until he reached a small clearing near a lake that reflected the sky like a mirror. Across the water, he saw her, or something like her. A tall figure, slender, skin shimmering blue and silver under the twin suns. Her hair flowed like light and her eyes glowed softly. But when she smiled, he froze again. That smile, he knew it. It was the same smile from the girl next door, the same one who used to share chocolates and stories under the oak tree on Earth. She spoke again, her voice gentle and calm. "You've grown, Aaron." He stepped back, unable to form words. Who are you?" She tilted her head slightly, sadness flickering in her eyes. "You don't remember me?" she asked. Her tone carried both warmth and pain. He stared at her face, alien yet familiar. Then he said the name softly. "Lila?" The alien woman's eyes shimmered with emotion. "You still remember," she whispered. Aaron's heart pounded. This couldn't be real. She had disappeared years ago. People said she ran away. But how could she be here, on a world light years away from Earth? Before he could ask more, the ground trembled. A low mechanical sound filled the forest, echoing like thunder. The woman turned suddenly, fear flashing across her face. "They found me," she said quickly. "We must move." Without warning, beams of red light tore through the trees. Strange machines appeared, tall metal hunters with glowing eyes. They moved fast, scanning everything in their path. Aaron ducked behind a rock, his heart hammering. "Oh, what are those?" he shouted. The alien woman pulled him up. "Hunters," she said. "They track life forms not from their world." "Why are they after you?" he asked. "They're not just after me," she whispered. "They're after you too." He didn't understand, but there was no time. The hunters fired energy blasts that burned the ground beside them. Aaron followed her through the forest, dodging beams and jumping over roots. The sound of metal footsteps grew louder, closer. Finally, she stopped beside a hidden cave glowing with soft blue light. "Inside," she ordered. Aaron hesitated, staring at her glowing eyes that once looked human. "Go," she shouted, pushing him inside. They tumbled into the darkness. Breathing hard outside, the machines passed by, their red lights fading inside the cave. Only the sound of their breathing filled the air. Aaron looked at her again, his voice trembling. "You can't be real," he said. "You disappeared when we were kids." She smiled faintly, her expression both sad and gentle. "There's so much you don't know, Aaron," she said softly. "But you will." He felt a strange pull inside him, confusion, fear, and something like destiny. And deep in the shadows, unseen by both of them, a tiny device blinked red. Someone else was watching. Someone who already knew who Aaron really was inside the glowing cave. The air was warm and filled with a soft humming sound. The walls shimmered like liquid glass. Changing colors with every heartbeat, Aaron sat on a rock, still trying to understand what had just happened. The alien woman stood near a glowing crystal, her eyes watching the entrance carefully. Outside, the sound of metal hunters faded into the distance. Replaced by silence, he took a deep breath and said quietly, "You really sound like her." She turned slowly, the glow reflecting off her silver blue skin. "Sound like who?" she asked softly. He hesitated. "A girl I knew. Long ago on Earth, her name was Lila." Her expression changed, a small, sad smile appeared. "And if I told you I was that girl, would you believe me?" she said. Aaron stared at her, his heart pounding again. "That's impossible," he said. "You vanished years ago." She moved closer, her eyes glowing faintly with emotion. "I didn't vanish," she whispered. "I was taken back." "Back where?" he asked, confused. "Home," she said simply. "This is my world." "Aaron." The words hit him like a wave. He looked around the cave, and the strange light, the humming energy, the alien symbols carved into the stone. Everything felt alive, as if the cave itself was breathing. "You mean you're not human?" he asked. She shook her head slowly. "Not completely. When I was a child, my people sent me to Earth to live among humans, to learn from them, to understand them." Aaron's mind spun. Why would aliens send a child to Earth? Her voice softened. "Because once, long ago, humans and my kind were allies, but war came, and we lost contact. We wanted to rebuild that bridge, so they sent me." Aaron tried to remember his childhood. He remembered the day she disappeared. The police, the search, the stories people made up, but now, standing before him was proof that none of it was normal. "You were real," he said quietly. "You were always real." She smiled gently. "And you were always kind. You used to bring me small gifts, remember?" He smiled faintly. "I remember the toy ship." Her eyes brightened. "You still remember," she said softly, almost like a whisper to herself for a brief moment. The cave felt peaceful, but then the walls flickered red. The hum turned sharp. Elira, that was her true name, looked up, alarmed. "They found us again," she said quickly. Aaron jumped to his feet. "How?" "They can track energy signatures. We stayed here too long." The ground trembled slightly, dust falling from above. She reached out her hand. "Come with me." He hesitated only a second before taking it. Her touch was warm, almost electric. They moved deeper into the cave, where tunnels twisted like veins through the earth. Glowing crystals lit their path as they ran. Behind them, distant metallic sounds echoed closer. They reached a hidden chamber larger than any he had seen. In the center stood a broken machine surrounded by ancient carvings. Aaron looked around. "What is this place?" "It's an old transmitter," she said. "It once connected my world and yours." She touched the machine gently, and it flickered weakly to life. "This could explain everything," she continued. "The signal that brought you here, it wasn't random. It was calling to you." Aaron frowned. "Calling to me? Why?" She looked at him, her eyes serious now. "Because you're not completely human either." The words hit him like thunder. "What do you mean?" he asked. "Your blood carries something ancient," she said. "A code that belongs to both our kinds, something forgotten by time." Aaron shook his head. "That's crazy." But deep down, something in him stirred. A memory, a dream, something he couldn't explain. Before he could speak again, the wall shook violently. The hunters had found the outer entrance, their beams cutting through the rock. Elira turned to him, her voice urgent. "If they take you, they'll destroy what's left of peace between our species." "Then we fight," he said firmly. Picking up a broken metal shard as a weapon, she smiled faintly. "Still the same boy who tried to protect everyone?" The ground cracked as the first hunter burst into the chamber. Its metal body gleamed under the crystal light, red sensors scanning for life. Elira raised her hands, energy forming between her palms. A burst of blue light shot forward, throwing the machine back. Aaron ducked and swung the metal shard. Striking a smaller drone that darted close, sparks flew. Smoke filled the air. When the last hunter fell, the chamber was quiet again. Aaron gasped for breath, his hands shaking. Elira looked at him with pride. "You fought well," she said. He nodded. "You're not too bad yourself." For a moment they both laughed, a small, human sound in a world so strange. But as they looked around, Aaron noticed something glowing behind the broken transmitter. A symbol carved into the stone, half human, half alien, connected by a single star. He reached out to touch it, and the walls responded with a low hum. Elira stepped closer, her expression thoughtful. "The universe hasn't forgotten us," she whispered. Aaron looked at her, a strange calm filling him. "Then maybe it's time we remember too," he said softly. Deep in the shadows of the cave, unseen by both, a small drone recorded everything. And somewhere far above the planet, a massive ship turned its attention toward them. The hunt wasn't over, it had just begun. The cave grew silent again, the air filled with faint blue light from the glowing crystals. Aaron sat near the old transmitter, staring at the strange symbol carved into the wall. Half human, half alien, connected by a single shining star. He couldn't look away. Something about it felt familiar, as if he had seen it long ago. Elira stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the same soft glow. "You feel it too," she said quietly. "The connection," Aaron nodded slowly. Unsure of his own thoughts, "What is this place really?" he asked. She looked around the chamber, touching the carvings gently. "This was one of the oldest meeting points between your world and mine," she said. "Long before war, long before fear. Humans and my kind worked together." She turned to him, her expression serious now. "Your ancestors helped us when our world was dying." Aaron frowned. "That's impossible. Humans didn't have space travel back then." Elira smiled faintly. "You underestimate your own kind. There were humans who were chosen, dreamers, engineers, scientists, who carried messages through the stars." He stared at her, half in disbelief, half in wonder. "My ancestors." He whispered. "Yes," she said softly. "And you carry their code." "The code?" he asked, confused. She pointed to the faint blue veins glowing under his wrist. "When you touched the symbol, the code awakened," she explained. "It's part of your DNA, hidden, sleeping for centuries." He looked at his wrist in shock, glowing lines slowly fading away. "I never knew," he whispered. "No one was supposed to," she replied. "Until now." A low hum echoed through the cave again. The old transmitter began to vibrate as if responding to their presence. Light poured from the ancient machine, forming holographic shapes in the air. Aaron stood up quickly, eyes wide. The holograms showed strange figures, humans and aliens standing together, building towers, sharing knowledge. Then the image flickered and changed, showing destruction, fire, and falling ships. Elira lowered her gaze. "That was the war that ended everything," she said softly. "We lost contact with Earth, and peace turned into fear." Aaron watched in silence, his heart heavy. "And now?" he asked. "Now," she said, "there's one last chance. This machine was designed to reconnect both worlds, but only the one who carries the human code can activate it." Aaron looked at her. "You mean me?" She nodded. "Yes, you're the bridge they built for the future." Before Aaron could respond, the ground shook violently. A loud explosion echoed through the tunnel behind them. Dust rained down from above as the hunters broke through the rock wall. Elira turned quickly, her eyes glowing bright blue. "They're not giving up," she said sharply. Aaron grabbed the nearest tool from the ground. Ready to fight again, the hunters advanced. Their red lights scanning for targets, they moved like predators. Precise, silent and deadly. Elira raised her hands, summoning a wave of blue energy that smashed into the first two machines. Metal shattered, sparks flying everywhere. But there were too many. Aaron jumped aside, narrowly avoiding a laser beam that cut through the stone beside him. He rolled to his feet and shouted, "We can't fight them all." She looked back. "Then we run!" They sprinted down another tunnel, their footsteps echoing against the ancient stone. The air grew colder, and strange symbols glowed along the walls as if guiding them. Aaron could hear the hunters behind them closing in. Suddenly, they reached a massive gate made of dark metal and crystal. Elira touched the surface, but it didn't open. "It's sealed," she said. "Only the code can unlock it." Aaron stepped forward, pressing his hand to the gate. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the blue lines on his wrist flared to life, spreading across the surface like fire. The gate opened slowly, revealing a vast underground chamber filled with ancient technology. In the center stood a glowing core pulsing like a heartbeat. "This is the heart of the transmitter," Elira said, awe in her voice. "If we can activate it, it will send a signal across galaxy, a message of peace." Aaron looked at her. "And if we fail?" Her expression darkened. "Then both our worlds may never meet again." He walked closer to the core, the light reflecting in his eyes. "I don't even know how to do this," he admitted. "You'll feel it," she said softly. "The code will guide you." He took a deep breath and placed his hands on the glowing surface. A surge of energy rushed through him. Memories that weren't his flashed in his mind. Visions of old Earth, alien skies, people working together. Voices whispered around him. "Remember, connect." Night. Then everything went dark. When he opened his eyes again, Elira was kneeling beside him, her hand on his shoulder. The core was glowing brighter than ever. The signal ready to send, but before they could activate it, a shadow appeared behind them, tall, armored, and terrifying. The largest hunter yet stepped into the light. Its red sensors fixed on Aaron. Elira's eyes widened. "That's not a hunter," she whispered. "That's a warden." The machine spoke for the first time, its voice deep and metallic. "Human code detected," it said coldly. "You are property of the sovereign fleet." Aaron clenched his fists, his heart burning with anger. "I'm not your property," he said firmly. The warden raised its arm, energy gathering at its weapon. Elira stepped in front of him, her voice fierce. "Then you'll have to go through me first." The air filled with tension, light and the promise of battle, and as the first shot fired, the chamber exploded with blinding blue light. The blast shook the entire chamber. Rocks cracked, sparks flew, and a wave of blue light rolled across the cave walls. Aaron stumbled backward, shielding his eyes from the flash. When the light faded, the massive warden stood unharmed in the center of the room, its red eyes glowing brighter than ever. Elira was on the ground, breathing hard, her energy drained from the first attack. Aaron ran to her side. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice full of worry. She nodded weakly. "I can still fight," she said. "But not for long." The warden's voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "Human subject. Surrender the code." Aaron glared at the metallic giant. "What code?" "The ancient pattern within your DNA," the warden replied. "It belongs to us." Elira struggled to stand, her tone sharp and angry. "He's not your property," she said. "That code was created for peace, not control." The warden raised its arm again, charging another beam. "Peace is obsolete," it said coldly. "Only dominance remains." Before the beam fired, Aaron grabbed a broken piece of metal from the floor and threw it at the machine's sensor. The beam missed, striking the ceiling and causing debris to fall. Elira used the distraction to blast the warden with her energy again. The light struck its chest, making it stumble but not fall. Aaron looked at the glowing core in the center of the chamber, the transmitter heart. He remembered her words. "The code will guide you." If the code was truly inside him, maybe he could use it. He ran toward the core while the warden turned to follow. Elira shouted, "Aaron, wait!" But he didn't stop. He placed both hands on the core again. The blue light flared, flowing up his arms like fire. Pain shot through his body, but he didn't pull away. Images filled his mind. Old symbols, human faces, alien skies. A voice whispering from somewhere beyond. "Unlock the bridge," it said. "Restore the bond." The warden lunged forward. Its heavy steps shaking the ground, Elira jumped between them, forming a barrier of light. "Keep going," she shouted, her voice echoing through the chamber. Aaron screamed as the light around him grew brighter. The symbols from the walls started to glow too, spreading across the entire cave. The machine began to hum, vibrating with ancient power. Then the warden fired again, the beam hitting the barrier, shattering it into sparks. Elira fell to the ground. Unconscious, Aaron turned, his eyes glowing bright blue now. The code had awakened fully. The warden took one heavy step forward, raising its arm for a final strike. But Aaron spoke, his voice calm, powerful, and not entirely human. "Stand down." The warden froze mid-motion. Its red sensors flickered, glitching between red and blue. "You carry the prime code," it said slowly. "Directive conflict detected." Aaron raised his hand, energy flowing through his veins. "You were built to protect peace," he said firmly. "Not destroy it." The warden hesitated, trembling as sparks burst from its chest. Then it lowered its weapon and stepped back. Awaiting new directive, it said. Its voice softer now. Aaron looked around, the chamber shaking harder as the transmitter core reached full power. The machine's hum turned into a deep, rhythmic pulse. Elira opened her eyes slowly, whispering, "Aaron, you did it." He smiled faintly. "I think so." But the ground cracked open beneath the transmitter. The ancient structure couldn't handle the power. "We have to get out," Aaron shouted, grabbing her hand. They ran through the collapsing tunnel as energy beams shot past them. The cave was falling apart, blue light and dust mixing in the air like lightning. They burst through an opening just as the chamber behind them exploded in a wave of light. The energy shot into the sky, creating a pillar that reached into space. It was the signal, the same one Elira had spoken about. The bridge between worlds was open again. Outside, the forest trembled under the blast of energy. Aaron and Elira stood together, watching the beam pierce the clouds. Ships appeared above, massive, glowing, ancient designs of alien origin. But these ships didn't come to attack. They hovered silently, scanning the signal. Listening to its message, Elira turned to Aaron, her voice filled with awe. "You've done what no one has done in centuries," she said. "You brought the code back to life." Aaron looked up at the sky, his heart heavy with both fear and hope. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Elira smiled faintly. "Now the stars will remember Earth again." He nodded slowly, staring at the alien fleet forming above but far beyond the clouds. Unseen by either of them, a darker ship emerged. Its hull black as space, its markings old and broken. Inside, a shadowy figure watched the beam and smiled coldly. "So the human code still lives," it said. "Then the war is not over." The scene faded with the sound of the signal echoing across the stars, and Aaron, standing under the twin suns, realized something powerful. This was only the beginning of a much greater truth. The twin suns were rising over the alien forest. Blue light shimmered across the silver trees, and the sky still glowed faintly where the great signal had torn through the clouds. Aaron stood quietly, watching the smoke rise from the cave. His body felt weak, but his mind was burning with a strange new energy. The code inside him was still active, whispering softly like an echo from another world. Elira stood beside him, her eyes glowing faintly, her face calm but thoughtful. "The signal reached them," she said softly. "I can feel their response." Aaron looked up at the sky, where distant ships moved like stars reborn. "They're coming here, aren't they?" he asked. "Yes," she said, "but not all of them come in peace." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at him sadly. "Some of our kind have forgotten what peace means. They will see the signal as a threat," Aaron sighed. "Then I guess our job isn't done yet." A distant rumble filled the air. From beyond the hills, dark shapes appeared, alien warships, sleek and silent, gliding toward them like shadows. Elira's hand glowed as she raised her wrist communicator. "They're scanning for you," she said. "You've become their target." Aaron clenched his fists. "Let them come." Elira shook her head. "No, Aaron. We must reach the tower before they arrive." "The tower?" he asked. "It's an ancient relay. It will amplify the peace signal across galaxies," she said. "If we can activate it, the war will stop before it begins." They moved quickly through the forest. The air was charged with static, every leaf humming softly as the energy from the signal spread through the land. Aaron could feel it pulsing inside his chest, guiding him like a compass. After hours of climbing through jagged rocks and glowing rivers, they reached the tower. It was massive, a crystal spire piercing the clouds, surrounded by ancient machinery and broken statues of both humans and aliens. Aaron looked up in awe. "This must be thousands of years old." Elira nodded. "Older," she said. "It was built by both our ancestors." They stepped inside, and the walls came alive with blue light. Symbols and holograms floated in the air, forming spirals of energy. Aaron approached the main console, his hand trembling slightly. "This is it," he said. Elira placed her hand over his. "Once you start, there's no turning back." He looked at her. "If this ends the fighting, then it's worth it." She smiled softly. "You really haven't changed since Earth." He placed his palm on the console. Instantly, streams of light wrapped around his arm. Reading his DNA, the tower responded, ancient mechanisms awakening one by one. A deep hum filled the chamber, echoing through the valley. Outside, the alien warships arrived, their weapons glowing with red fire. Elira turned, ready to defend, but Aaron shouted, "No! Don't fight, let the signal finish." She nodded. Though fear flickered in her eyes, the tower's light expanded. Spreading across the sky like dawn, a symbol appeared above them. Half human, half alien united under a single star. The warships paused mid-flight, their targeting beams fading. The light touched them, and for the first time, silence fell across the battlefield. Aaron could hear voices, not in sound, but in his mind millions of voices speaking as one, remembering old promises, lost peace, forgotten love. He felt tears sting his eyes. The code inside him had connected them all. Elira turned to him, her eyes wet with emotion. "You did it," she whispered. "You brought them together again." But Aaron shook his head. "We did it," he said softly. Above them, the clouds parted, revealing a fleet of golden ships, the true peacekeepers of her people. They descended slowly, their lights warm and gentle from one of them. A beam of light touched the ground surrounding Elira. "It's time for me to go," she said quietly. Aaron's heart sank. "Go? Where?" "To lead them," she said. "To remind them what peace means." He stepped closer. "Will I see you again?" She smiled, that same soft human smile from long ago. "Of course," she said. "You promised you'd find me, remember?" He laughed lightly, trying to hide the pain in his chest. "I guess I did," he said. She placed her hand on his cheek. "And I never forgot you, Aaron, not even for a moment." The beam of light brightened. Wrapping around her like starlight, her form began to fade. Turning into energy that drifted toward the waiting fleet, Aaron stood there watching her go. The tower's light dimmed slowly, leaving only the soft glow of dawn. He looked up at the sky one last time. For the first time in centuries, both worlds, human and alien, shared the same sunrise. And in that quiet moment, the signal pulsed one final time. Echoing across the stars, a voice whispered in his mind. Warm and familiar, "I'll be waiting." Beyond the worlds, Aaron smiled. He turned toward the horizon, ready for whatever came next. Because peace wasn't just a signal anymore. It was alive. And it began with one human who never stopped believing.